Imagine you're standing at the base of a towering cliff. It's daunting, seemingly impossible to climb. But then, a giant hand reaches down from above, offering guidance and support. This hand doesn't carry you to the top. Instead, it shows you where to place your feet, how to grip the rock face, and encourages you when the climb gets tough. Before you know it, you're at the summit, having achieved something you never thought possible. This image isn't just a metaphor. It's a powerful representation of a learning theory that could revolutionize the way you acquire new skills. A theory that, despite its potential to dramatically accelerate your growth, has been largely forgotten by the Western world. Today, we're diving into the Zone of Proximal Development, or ZPD. This concept, developed by Soviet psychologist Lev Vygotsky in the 1930s, holds the key to unlocking your true learning potential. But before we get into the nitty-gritty, let's address the elephant in the room. Why should you care about some obscure Soviet learning theory? Well, what if I told you that understanding and applying this theory could help you learn new skills faster than you ever thought possible? What if it could help you break through plateaus in your personal and professional development? And what if it could give you a framework for teaching others more effectively, whether you're a parent, a manager, or a mentor? That's the power of the Zone of Proximal Development. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how to harness it. Our story begins in the early 20th century Soviet Union. While the country was undergoing massive political and social upheaval, a young psychologist named Lev Vygotsky was quietly revolutionizing our understanding of how humans learn. Vygotsky noticed something fascinating about children's learning processes. He observed that there was a sweet spot in learning, a zone where a child couldn't quite complete a task on their own, but could do so with a little guidance from an adult or more skilled peer. This zone, he argued, was where the most powerful learning took place. He called this the Zone of Proximal Development. In his 1934 book, Thinking and Speech, Vygotsky defined it as the distance between the actual developmental level, as determined by independent problem solving, and the level of potential development as determined through problem solving under adult guidance or in collaboration with more capable peers. But why is this zone so important? To understand that, we need to look at how Vygotsky's ideas challenged the prevailing theories of his time. In the 1930s, most Western psychologists, like Jean Piaget, believed that development was largely an internal process. They thought children's minds developed in predetermined stages, largely independent of their environment. Vygotsky turned this idea on its head. He argued that social interaction was crucial to cognitive development. In other words, we don't just grow and learn on our own. We need others to reach our full potential. This was a radical departure from the individualistic view of learning that dominated Western psychology, and it has profound implications for how we approach education and skill development. So, how exactly does the ZPD work? Let's break it down with a simple example. Imagine you're learning to play chess. At first, you can barely set up the board correctly. That's your current ability level. Now imagine a chess grandmaster sits down across from you. They could utterly demolish you in a game, but that wouldn't help you learn. That level is far beyond your ZPD. But what if that grandmaster started by teaching you basic openings? What if they guided you through simple strategies, correcting your mistakes and explaining the reasoning behind each move. Suddenly, you're playing at a level you couldn't have achieved on your own. That's the magic of the ZPD. The key here is that the support you receive is tailored to your current level. It's challenging enough to push you forward, but not so difficult that you become frustrated and give up. This balance is crucial for effective learning. Now, you might be thinking, that's all well and good, but I can't have an expert guiding me all the time. And you're right. That's where the concept of scaffolding comes in. Scaffolding, a term coined by Jerome Bruner and his colleagues in the 1970s, is the process of providing support to a learner and gradually removing that support as the learner becomes more competent. It's like training wheels on a bike. They help you get started, but eventually you'll ride without them. In educational settings, scaffolding might involve a teacher breaking down a complex task into smaller, manageable steps. As the student masters each step, the teacher provides less direct guidance, allowing the student to take on more responsibility. But scaffolding isn't just for formal education. You can apply this principle to any skill you're trying to develop. Let's say you're learning to code. You might start by following step-by-step tutorials, then move on to modifying existing code, and finally create your own projects from scratch. Each stage builds on the last, with the scaffolding of tutorials and examples gradually falling away as you become more proficient. While Vygotsky's work primarily focused on child development, the principles of the ZPD are applicable far beyond the classroom. In fact, they're being used in various fields to accelerate learning and improve performance. In the business world, the concept of stretch assignments is essentially an application of ZPD principles. These are tasks that are slightly beyond an employee's current abilities, but achievable with support. According to a study by Korn Ferry, 71% of companies use stretch assignments for leadership development. In sports, the idea of deliberate practice, popularized by psychologist Anders Ericsson, aligns closely with the ZPD. This approach involves practicing at the edge of one's abilities, with immediate feedback and gradual increases in difficulty. It's how top athletes constantly push their boundaries and achieve seemingly superhuman feats. Even in technology, we see echoes of the ZPD. Adaptive learning systems, which adjust the difficulty of material based on a student's performance, are essentially trying to keep learners in their zone of proximal development at all times. So, how can you use these insights to dramatically improve your own learning and skill development? Here are some practical strategies. First, identify your zone of proximal development. This requires honest self-assessment. What can you do comfortably? What feels just out of reach? That space between comfort and impossibility is where you want to focus your efforts. Next, seek out appropriate challenges. Look for tasks or problems that are just beyond your current abilities. If you're learning a language, for instance, try reading texts that are a bit above your current level, using a dictionary to fill in the gaps. Third, find mentors or more skilled peers. Remember, social interaction is key to the ZPD. A good mentor can provide the scaffolding you need to tackle challenges you couldn't face alone. Fourth, embrace productive struggle. Learning in your ZPD shouldn't be easy. It should be challenging, but achievable. If you're not struggling a bit, you're probably not pushing yourself enough. Finally, gradually reduce support as you improve. As you become more competent, try tackling similar challenges with less help. This is how you internalize new skills and knowledge. It's worth noting how well the concept of the ZPD aligns with Carol Dweck's work on growth mindset. Dweck, a Stanford psychologist, found that people who believe their abilities can be developed through hard work and good strategies, a growth mindset, tend to achieve more than those who believe their talents are innate and fixed. The ZPD approach inherently promotes a growth mindset. It assumes that with the right support and effort, you can always push beyond your current abilities. This perspective can be incredibly empowering, especially when facing new challenges. Let's return to our cliff climbing metaphor. The zone of proximal development isn't about having someone carry you to the top. It's about having the right support at the right time to help you climb higher than you ever thought possible. By understanding and applying the principles of the ZPD, you can accelerate your learning, break through plateaus, and achieve things you once thought were out of reach. Whether you're learning a new skill, advancing in your career, or helping others grow, the ZPD provides a powerful framework for maximizing potential. So, the next time you face a daunting challenge, remember Vygotsky's forgotten Soviet secret. Seek out that guiding hand, embrace the struggle, and watch as you ascend to new heights. Your zone of proximal development is waiting. Are you ready to step into it?